looking back. Crowds on fire, feel the nation in the zone. Raiders rolling strong, bring it all the way home. He's got the glaze, got the grit, got the power in his stride. Duncan hits the sideline and the stadium ignites. Another chain moves and the fans all rise. Shields in the air, Vegas lights in our eyes. First downs and donuts, sweet like victory. Duncan keeps it cooking for the Raider family. One more drive, let the anthem ring. Raider Nation forever, let the Shield King sing. You all come back now, back now. Back now.
What is going on, Raider Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Raider Nation Show Me Your Shield. I'm Raiders First Downs. You can call me Jason, JD. Just don't call me late for dinner. My co-host next to me over here is Donuts Duncan, the young man with the knowledge and repping. How you doing tonight, Duncan?
Doing good. No, for sure, you've never been late to a meal in your life.
Oh, no, I don't pass them up. I used to when I was a kid. Believe it or not, when I was young, I was skinny. My dad used to tell me all the time that when I was skinny, he goes, son, you got to run around in the shower just to get wet. You're so skinny. You know? I was like, yeah. It wasn't until I was about 20, 21 years old, I kind of started putting on some weight. I mean, I was 225 when I graduated from high school. But now it's being 53 and kids are grown and retired. But I am going to get back in the gym. Last year I was in the gym. I was going to the gym last year and then I blew my elbow out and took about 3 months to recover from that. And, I just never picked up where I left off because I was on a good trajectory at that time to get back in good shape. So,
Yeah.
but hey, enough of me.
Let's talk about
Pretty
those
cold.
Raiders.
Yep. Is it pretty cold where you're at?
It was a warm day for us. On my drive home from work, it was a whopping 14 degrees.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This was the first morning going into work. It wasn't negative in a little while.
No. Well, anyways, hey, let's get this show kicked off, brother. What do you say?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, tonight we're putting names on the board for we're going to be talking coaches. We're going to try and stick to the coaches and where we're going with the coaches and how the coaches carousel is going and the different pieces that are flowing. And today there was a lot of movement in the NFL as it was in regards to coaches, but there was no movement in the Raider Nation. And so what I like to say, I like to say is the Raider Nation right now, we're looking at the conclave. We're waiting for the white smoke. And I sure the hell don't want to see the black smoke.
Yeah.
So
Definitely don't want to see that fire with the house burning.
no. Well, sometimes it feels like that's where we're at anyways. But a couple of names that are on the board right now. I mean, we have Davis Webb, Clint Kubiak. I know Brian Daboll was kind of brought into the mix a little bit, but he signed today with Tennessee as their offensive coordinator. But that was conditional if he didn't get the Raiders head coaching job. So there's a conditional pause on that one right now. So the job is his in Tennessee unless he's offered the job as a head coach with the Raiders. I have my druthers about Brian Daboll, but we can discuss those as we go along through the program. We'll talk about it later. Maybe somebody in the chat will have a better idea that maybe change my mind. Shit, I don't know. But primarily we're looking at Davis Webb and Clint Kubiak, right? These are the two paths to build the future. as we say. One keeps the Raiders at average or maybe above average. One takes us to the promised land, and one or both could be the one that blows this franchise up, and we never recover from this coaching search.
Yeah. And before we get deep into that conversation, let's shout out the chat.
Right on.
We got Jack showing up again. Can't believe those Patriots made it back already. Yeah. Never-ending nightmare. I will say at least the Broncos didn't make it. Glad we don't got to hear about those donkeys.
Nah.
Rosetown's in the house.
Salute Rosetown. Remind me, I got the song. I don't know if you heard it yet. Our chat song. Make you famous.
Marcus Banks.
Marcus, my brother, man. Our Titan fan that comes in and hangs out with us, brings real good takes. For those of you guys don't know, Marcus, he brings an outside influence into our nation, and he's welcome at Allegiant Stadium any time of the week. Trust me.
Yeah. And so now going back into it, let's talk some Davis Webb.
All right. What you got?
So to me, Davis Webb kind of seems like that old school Al Davis style of choice in a coach. Real young, aggressive, really bright mind, like really out to prove himself to the world and not worry about all the shit talking around him.
Yeah.
What say you, Jason?
Well, I'm kind of in that same line as to, like, you're looking for that bright young mind that has, he's, believe it or not, he has cut his chops so far. Even though he's only been a coach for a couple years, he's already cut his chops, because if anybody's watched the Broncos games and him on the sideline, he is doing all the dirty work, man. Well, Sean Payton and offensive coordinator up in the booth, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Some news broke on that. You see him on the sideline. He's got that tablet, and he's in everybody's face with that tablet. Not just, he's the quarterback coach, but he's also the pass game coordinator. So while Sean Payton's over watching the defense and paying attention to the basics and the logistics of being a head coach, what Davis is in the back, and he's doing all the dirty work. So as far as I'm concerned, and you see it, and you hear that the players respect him, right? So that's one of the characteristics of a coach that is very well needed, is that respect, that be able to bond with your players, develop that respect, and it just creates more of a harmonious type atmosphere for the whole team. Yeah. So that's the plus side that I see with Davis Webb being a potential candidate to be hired as our next head coach.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. And then just to add on to it, he was Eli Manning's backup quarterback.
And Geno Smith.
Yeah. But Eli Manning had nothing but praises to say about Davis Webb and how smart of a guy he was and how great to work with he is. So I can definitely see him meshing really well with the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's as old as some of the players on the team, so he's definitely got their lingo down and similar mannerisms and the way they act and talk and stuff like that. So it would definitely be interesting in that sense. And then, I mean, heck, it's just been constantly talked about every time Webb's names come up with how smart he is. Now, the one thing I really don't like, and it's being petty,
Salute 805,
is his dang nickname. I don't know why Raider Nation Radio is picking it up and running with it, because I can't stand the nickname. It's so cheesy. Do you happen to know what his nickname is, Jason?
Dragon? Yeah. Eli Manning gave him that name when he was with the Giants.
It's just, I don't know. It's so cheesy. I think it was in the morning show, the morning tailgate, they brought on a guest to talk about Webb.
Salute D Menace.
And their guest actually went to the Broncos arena and was interviewing people, and every single time somebody talked about Webb, they called him the Dragon. They didn't say his name; they just said the Dragon. And finally, he's like, "Who's the Dragon?" Like, "Oh, that's Davis."
Nah.
It's like, so that guy is literally going around with people calling him the Dragon. That's just
Well,
so easy.
If he comes to Raider Nation and he starts to do things and whatever his characteristics are or whatever, we'll give him a nickname that'll stick. Take that dragon. We'll slay the dragon, so to speak, and give him a different nickname.
Yeah, we gotta come up with something.
Yeah, because when you think of dragon, you think of Puff the Magic Dragon and crap like that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So, anyways, that's kind of some of the pros, and digging into them, and he's, he comes from that Texas Tech, background into the pros. Really didn't get. I don't think he was able to really assimilate very well. Of course, he went to the Giants behind Eli Manning, behind Geno Smith. I just crack up when I see that. I was like, yeah, he was Geno Smith's backup. Wonder how that's going to work out if we keep Geno Smith this year on the roster.
Yeah, I don't see how we keep Geno Smith.
I don't either, but he's still under contract. We still got to pay him, so there might be that outside possibility that we retain him just because of the contract. But
yeah,
I myself, if we draft a rookie quarterback that's going to be our future, I don't want him anywhere near him. I don't shake his hand. Don't look at him. Don't even sit by. Don't even breathe the same air that he's breathing. Go in another room. Get away from our rookie quarterback.
Yeah, might just have to bite the bullet and keep Aiden around to be the mentor kind of guy, even though he doesn't have a lot of playing experience. But he's going into season 4 now, so technically he's a vet.
And Aiden's got a little bit of coaching swag to him himself. He's not. I don't think he's a big rah, coach him up on the sideline type thing. But he's always interactive. You always see him being interactive with the quarterback. So it's not like he doesn't go sit on when he's playing. He doesn't go sit on the bench, hang his helmet up, sit on the bench, and sit there and fold his arms in front of him, and nobody's around him or anything like that. He's pretty. He stays in tune with the game, and he keeps interacting with his fellow players. So
yeah, but getting back into Davis Webb, I mean, the cons of him, obviously 0 head coaching experience, so huge risk, and with him also not being an offensive coordinator in the NFL, there is a huge risk on his play calling ability also. No. I know the big thing going around right now in Raider Nation is he called a preseason game this last preseason. Mm-hmm. And then I believe it was also 2 off seasons ago, he coached the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
He was the play caller for that. So, I mean, it's not true NFL experience at play calling, but there is film of his style of play, I guess you could say. But huge question mark, because you don't see how he would call a real game or even a playoff game, how he would make adjustments, what kind of scenarios he'd be put in, and how that affects his play calling. Nothing of the sort. So it's very, very risky on that end. So
something popped up today though, as it pertains to Davis Webb. And that was Joe Lombardi was terminated as the defensive Broncos offensive coordinator. How do you see that being a part of our hiring process for Davis Webb?
Well, I could see it 2 ways. It could be Sean Payton thinking he's playing chess games with everybody again, especially us, because we are interested in bringing Webb in as the coach. So it could be Sean Payton's trying to get us to take Webb because it shows he's interested in promoting Webb and keeping him a longer term with him.
No.
But he could in fact legitimately be excited to keep Webb on and promote him and keep him around because he thinks he's that good of a offensive mind. So it could go either way. One thing though with that news is it wasn't shown that they're promoting Webb. It was just firing Lombardi.
Yeah, but it creates a vacuum.
Yep.
It creates that vacuum, and just by doing so, it kind of gives you that like, okay. Now, for some of you guys that might be on the older side of Raider fandom, 2004, we had Sean Payton locked down, was getting ready to hire him, and then some outside influences barged in, i.e., Bill Parcells and Jerry Jones barged in at the last minute and persuaded him. Well, so the conversation between him and Parcells wasn't so much he was persuading him, but was giving him eternal fact as to, I don't think you are ready right now to take that job. And that is not the job that is going to be good for you right now. So, which if that's how the conversation went, 20 years later, I give Bill Parcells all the credit in the world of helping that guy out, because at that point of our franchise, it was so bad, financially. We had sold our soul to the devil to try and win a Super Bowl with all these heavy contracts that had signing bonuses galore. And, we had to pay those loans off for those signing bonuses. We didn't have no money to sign. We barely had money to sign people, for the next 3 or 4 years. And so, having said that, I think Sean Payton would have really, really failed. And I think it could have really damaged his career. Now, do I care how his career went? No, because it didn't pertain to the Raiders in a roundabout way. But at the same time, you can tell that's what happened. So now, does Sean Payton have that same conversation with Davis Webb? 22 years later, 23 years later.
I mean, it could be similar, but we're in a completely different scenario now as far as our franchise goes. Because now we have a high draft pick. We have a bunch of capital. Our roster has a bunch of openings, so you can bring in a bunch of players that you think fit your system. Like, we're not in a very bad position as far as our team goes.
From a strategic standpoint.
Yeah. We're just lacking talent. So
yeah. But here's the negative to that, and I'll call anybody out, and we were discussing this backstage, is you have Tom Brady and John Spytek trying to make during the hiring process. How cohesive is that? Right? So you have a guy that's an owner that used to be an NFL quarterback and a guy that was an assistant GM who is now our GM trying to agree. They both have to somewhat come together and agree to who to hire. So do you see that being an issue?
I mean, not really. I think Spytek is given a lot of power after Mark Davis kind of stepped back and sent that message to Raider Nation. That being said, Brady is an owner, so he's not going to get fired. So in a sense, Spytek is the fall guy if things don't go right. But that's the job Spytek signed up for. I mean, that's what being a GM is all about. Is you're going to make decisions. You're going to come to have arguments with Brady eventually because you're not going to agree on everything and talk it out. And sometimes it'll go with Brady's way. Sometimes it'll go Spytek's way, and see how the cookie crumbles after that. So I don't really see it as a huge issue. My biggest issue between the Spytek Brady thing is Brady is out making money, so he's not full-time with the Raiders. That's my only issue. That being said, I don't have a problem with Brady trying to make money for himself and his family. Like,
no,
Not going to get angry at that.
I don't have a problem with him investing into the Raiders as trying to expand his portfolio, but at the same time, if you're going to step into the arena and start throwing punches, do you just like? I mean, you got to stay. You have to. It's more than money investment, is what I'm talking about. He has to if he's going to be an owner and he's going to be an quote unquote executive, then he needs to keep his feet planted in the building and do so. Right.
Yeah.
So don't. It's not being an executive is not a part-time job in the NFL. It's a full-time job.
Joseph Parra coming in was saying it's going to take 3 to 4 years. Raider fans need to be patient. I mean, I agree. I think I'm leaning towards 2 to 3 years. I think 2 is definitely the short term where we need to start seeing some improvements. I think this next year is going to be rough no matter what, no matter who the coach is. We're going to have a lot of turnaround on the roster. It's just matter of fact. I don't want to say it's a throwaway year. It's never a throwaway year, but it's definitely going to be a big teaching moment, especially for the younger players. Yeah. And then as far as us having a lot of cap space, we've been overpaying free agent players and they come in and underachieve. That was from DT Raiders. I agree 95%. The 5% is last season. Spytech really does his homework on guys that used to have success in the NFL or haven't quite gotten that right shot at being a starter, where he'll bring them in as cheaper free agents, as prove-it deals, instead of trying to go out and get those big swingers, which I am and I am not a fan of, because a big thing on when Spytech came in is we got to make sure we keep talent in the building. We got to keep re-signing those guys that earned it. And then what did he go and do last season? He let all of our guys walk. Yeah. The guys who actually earned the contracts, like Spillane, Clavon Chason, arguably Morig. I was a fan of Morig. A lot of Raider Nation wasn't. Completely fine to have your opinion on that, but you let all these guys walk, and they all went on to have really good success. Yeah. And 2 of those guys are in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, shout out 805. Hey, thanks for coming in with us, 805. Love you, brother. D Menace is in the house as well. Salute to you, my friend. Marcus Banks, thanks for Jack Tamale. Thank you for coming in. Clap back to you, my friend. Joseph Parra, great take, man. And we'll expand more later on the show with this. It's patience between there's a difference between being patient and just being left at the altar. So is that the case? So we'll discuss that more as we go through the show. Frank Weber, my guy, Frank Weber, salute, my friend. And then I think you know this guy, right? DT Raider 64.
Yeah.
So been paying for underachievers for a long time. And yeah, that goes, I mean, historically, I think a lot of it's not just us. I think a lot of teams overpay for free agents because they take the body of work that they put with their home team and try and bring it over to their franchise. And sometimes it just doesn't work. Whether it's a scheme fit or it's a personality fit, or whether or not, in some cases, I call it the Albert Hainsworth theory, is all of a sudden you ball out all year, you're just the baddest dude on the defensive line. You go to the bank and you got all these zeros on your check. It's like, well, I'm done. You don't do anything after that, you know? Yeah. So
heck,
that's the Leary.
Warren Sapp came out and said that he got that paycheck and he was like, I just tried to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Like he showed up and played football, but he wasn't going and risking his body for anything.
Mm-mm.
He wanted to
keep, and he didn't. And he didn't do too bad for us. It wasn't like it was horrible, you know.
But he was
but
it wasn't.
But he also, you know, by that time he was on the downside of his career, anyways. And he
Yeah.
knew that Al Davis, but and the thing of it is, Al Davis was one of those because he did it with Ted Hendricks, he did it with George Blanda, um, you know, Willie Brown, um, a lot of players he brought in that were on the backside of their. But see, that was different back then. Those weren't unrestricted free agents. Those were guys that were getting where their home team was kicking them to the curb, trying to get rid of them before they became a liability, and then later on in the '80s, they had that Plan B free agency. I don't know, well, you weren't around then, but they had the Plan B free agency that was every year teams had to set aside certain veterans to be put them on the open market to be bid on by other teams. And it was different than unrestricted free agent because a team could bid on you and pick you, and you didn't have a choice. You can negotiate, in a roundabout way. It's like, well, like Roger Craig and Ronnie Lott came to us, via Plan B, and they felt comfortable coming to our organization, so it made it very, very subtle, for them to come to us, um, but let's get back to the Davis Webb thing a little. I think we kind of it's hard with Davis Webb because there's not a whole lot out there for us to discuss. I mean, his coaching resume really consists of 2 years of being an assistant coach,
Yeah.
In a roundabout way. But on the flip side of that is his position and how they treated him. He had a lot of responsibility in that position.
Yeah.
As a passing game coordinator and being a quarterbacks coach, he's lockstep with Bo Nix and Sean Payton. So
Well, why don't we ask chat what their thoughts on Davis Webb are? Not saying
give us
should
your
he be
pros.
our coach or not, but can you see him being a decent coach for us?
Yeah, give us the pros.
And,
give us the cons.
What are your opinions on him specifically? And while you guys are typing up that, Jason, can Davis Webb be our future, or is it too soon? Like,
when is too soon?
Too soon.
When?
I agree, it's too soon for him.
But when? When is too soon?
I think
every person is different, especially when you get into this part of the game. He's not too far off of being a player. It's not like he sat on a couch for 4 or 5 years or was coaching high school football, for 4 or 5 years, and all of a sudden he's in the NFL as an assistant coach. He went from being a backup quarterback, in a pretty good position behind a pretty good quarterback, got some good knowledge from there. He came from Texas Tech, which is known to produce, quarterbacks that it can be serviceable, and and then he goes right into being an assistant and then becoming an pass game coordinator and quarterback coach. So, and the pass game coordinator and offensive coordinator, really, in all honesty, they do about the same. They're about the same responsibilities. But if you watch him on the sideline, I mean, the other day I was watching a game, and then when we played him, I was like, man, that guy is like, at first I was like, who is that guy? Because I didn't know who it was. And you could just see him, and he was like, he had the tablet. He's in Sean Payton's face. They're discussing it. And you can see Sean Payton go like this on the sideline. And then he went back back to the bench with his quarterbacks and started bringing it out. So, we can say, not experienced, not enough experience, but at the same time, he's been fluent in his career from where he was to where he is now. It's just, I would like to see a little bit more coaching on his resume.
Yeah, definitely agree with that part. I'm not a huge fan of Sean Payton's coaching tree either. I mean, he hasn't had a lot of coaches under him, but the ones that have gotten their opportunities have not worked out at all. Mm-hmm. So there's also that going against him. At least on my end. Not that my opinion matters too much because I'm not in the Raiders front office.
Yeah.
But he's definitely a very interesting name and very interesting person to keep an eye on. And we'll see if it's a bluff or if Sean Payton actually promotes him too, depending on how our head coaching search pans out. I will say, though, that they had the second interview with him in the building and he walked out.
That
not like he walked away from it, but like the Raiders didn't sign him then and there.
it must not have been that good to where they didn't lock him down and let him out, lock the doors and keep him in the building. So
yeah,
there has to be a hint of they're not quite sure. I mean, obviously the Zoom call, apparently he did something to elevate him into the coaching hiring process and keep his name out there. But because we're not the only ones that interviewed him, obviously. I think that was it the Bills that interviewed him?
Bills interviewed him, I think, right before us.
Okay.
But that was a over the phone or online or whatever.
Zoom. They do a lot of stuff Zoom now. So and it is Zoom is what it is, but you really like to be right face to face with them and really see are they nervous talking about what they're because nerves on camera versus nerves in person are two different things. It makes a big difference being in person. So
now I got one question before we go on to Kubiak. Is it more likely Spytek is practicing extreme patience, like maybe McDaniel or Webb or even the ex-Giants head coach Dable? Is it possible one of them just absolutely hit it out of the park and he wants to go through and check every single box before he picks his guy, or are these guys really not wowing him?
I think the certainty is he has a specific person in mind, and I think that Tom Brady also has that that same philosophy on that certain person. But I think there's also a lot of uncertainty in the candidates they have interviewed, including Brian Dable, that causes them to be patient. And yes, like somebody said earlier in the chat, just need to be patient because you want to get it right, but sometimes I think you can overthink it too. I think you can be too patient because Lord knows you hate to get to prom and find out your date didn't show up.
Yeah. Now on to Kubiak, system guy, been an offensive coordinator for 2 or 3 teams now, was the Saints offensive coordinator last year. And then obviously this year he's in the Super Bowl with the Seahawks, being Sam Darnold's play caller.
Yeah. He's got a little bit more on his resume. He definitely does. He's got a little bit more on his resume. Not much. He's got he's quarterback coach, Minnesota, to New Orleans as the offensive coordinator, to Seattle as an offensive coordinator, all in about a three-year span. So it's not like he's been settled down in one place and has, consistently put the results on the board over a long period of time with one organization. But if you glue them all together with Kubiak, then in a 3-year period, he has that in his resume. Because usually, when you go for an offensive coordinator, and this was what happened with John Gruden when we hired John Gruden. John Gruden had a 3-year run. Why did my camera just fade out?
Because you moved. Put your finger on the camera and then zoom in, zoom out. But no, Kubiak's very interesting, and he, unlike Webb, has track record of being a play caller in the NFL and has had some success. I mean, obviously had a good amount of success this year, and then he started off last year on fire with the Saints. They had those 2 just amazing games right to start off the season, and then injuries started happening and the offense started falling apart a bit. Definitely is not afraid of taking the big shot either. He loves that deep ball, and he's got a player in Shaheed that he really likes that they brought in from the Saints. And if I'm not mistaken, Shaheed's a free agent. So if Kubiak comes to the Raiders, well, guess what? That's probably our first free agent pickup right there is Shaheed.
Good little weapon to get.
Yeah. And probably place him over top of Thornton as that deep ball guy. And then also help in the return game a bit because Shaheed does return kickoffs and sometimes punts too.
Yeah. So, hey, Chewy's in the chat with us. I don't know if you know Chewy Reader Coverage. He puts out some good content. And he's up in he's just like this. Do you guys like Webb or Kubiak? We put that out there for the chat, Chewy. How about we do this with anybody that's in the chat? Put hashtag Webb and then give us your pro. And then put hashtag Webb, give us your con. You see what I'm saying? And then do the same thing with Kubiak and see what. And then throw Dable in there if you want, because Dable is not out of the mix yet.
Same with Mike McDaniel. Throw him in there too.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you guys want, just do that. Throw that in the chat. Let's get the conversation going. This is your guys' conversation. The good thing about this is our lobby is 12, 13 people. So it shouldn't be too difficult for us to pick up and get a good conversation going just off the chat. Because, I mean, I can sit here and talk all day. Just ask my wife. You know.
Yeah. And we got Frungly, who I think he said he said he was a Colts fan and he's going to buy a Mendoza jersey. So, I mean, I always welcome people wearing the silver and black, so I'll take it.
Well, there's a lot of people that are going to be rooting for Fernando Mendoza no matter what team he goes to. I am one of those. Even if we don't take Fernando, I'm going to be keeping an eye on him and rooting for him until he plays the Raiders. And it's going to kill that quarterback.
But yeah, 100% Frungly. For the love of God, invest in O-line.
Yeah.
Hate to see him get rattled like Geno or Darnold or David Carr, Derek Carr. There's many, many stories in the NFL of young quarterbacks just getting absolutely destroyed and their careers ending because they cannot show what they got with the team they have. Joseph Parra, they're stalling till the end of the Super Bowl is over. Hiring a young coach to grow with the team makes sense. Also, not having that power and the draft is good. Let the GM do his thing. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And today's NFL, you need the GM to focus on the player management side of things and have the coaches coach. Focus on coaching the players you have at hand. Yeah. And I'm a big fan of hiring a young coach and letting them grow with the team because I really want those coaches to get their full contract, whether it be 3 to 5 years. I just let them play out that whole contract. I mean, we really got to see what we have in them. Do you prefer smooth peanut butter or chunky, Jason?
It depends on which brand. Why are you coming? Come on, Skipper. Yeah. Only Jeff can come up with a question like that.
Yeah. No,
I don't even think he knows what kind of peanut butter he likes.
Just throw on a Dunkin' Donuts sticker on the wrapper and he'll be happy with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So some cons on Kubiak. I mean, obviously he's from the Kubiak family. And if I'm not mistaken, they have a long family history of being friends with Shanahan's. And from what you've told me, the Shanahans really hate the Raiders because of how Al Davis snubbed the dad, Mike Shanahan. So could that play in a factor of Kubiak deciding whether he wants the Raider job or not? I mean, it's probably going to be on the table, but if it is on the table, is it possible he snubs the Raiders because of family history?
Well, depending on how far back you go back as a Raider fan, that hatred was more than what people realize. That was Hatfield. That was the NFL version of the Hatfields and the McCoys. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if Kubiak is taking the side of Mike Shanahan, Mike Shanahan's one of his best friends. Let's face it, Kyle Shanahan and Clay Kubiak. Well, Clay is on Kyle's coaching staff. So that hatred is real. Okay, so don't overlook it as that not being an object, that we got to get around. So I know some people there were some people that said, bleh, you don't know what you're talking. Okay. All right. I'm telling you right now, those relationships, that kind of hatred lasts for a long time. Now, 2014, Mark Davis brought Mike Shanahan in for an interview. And from what I understand, Mark Davis cut a check to Mike Shanahan for that $250,000 that was still owed to Mike Shanahan, because that was one of the big sticking points between Mike Shanahan and Al Davis as to why they didn't get along. It's one thing to get fired as a head coach. It's the second thing, you don't get your money that's owed to you, on your final check. So when it comes to money, it pisses people off even more. So that could be a sticking point. I'm not saying it's an absolute, but what I'm trying to do is just forewarn people that could come into play. So, and also too, now that you think about it, you got Sean Payton, who did the same thing to Al Davis in 2004, left him at the altar. We were hiring. I mean, Sean Payton still brags about having the suit that he bought for the press conference to be named as the Raiders head coach in 2004. He still brags about it. Now, is he going to be in the ear of Davis Webb? You know what? I want to see you. I mean, the conversation could be just as easy, the same thing. He goes, look, I'm not going to tell you how to decide for you and your family what's best for you. But I myself will tell you right now that organization right there is in influx. And you're in the birthing stages of your career. If you go there, these are some of the things that could happen. Okay. But there are also these things. You're a bright mind. You got enough NFL experience in your body to be successful in this league as a head coach. And who knows, you might walk in there and bam, instantly take over, and you're the next up and coming greatest thing since sliced bread as a head coach.
Well, but here's my thing on the Sean Payton and his ear thing. Mm-hmm. Sean Payton probably is in his ear. He's probably talking to Sean, like asking for advice and stuff, because they're in a coaching relationship right now. If he is offered the job and takes it, I like Webb a lot more than I did before, because he's taking that chance on himself, on an organization that has been struggling and just mowing through coaches. So that really encourages me on Webb as a person and a mentality. And then on the flip side of the coin, if he decides to not take the job and it was offered to him, it's not being petty. I really don't want him, because that means he's not willing to bet on himself, and I don't want a coach like that. And yes, he's definitely in the very early stages of his career as a coach, and it is a massive gamble on his side to take a head coaching job. But if he is willing to take that risk, like that, it just puts him that much higher in my book than he was before, because I just like that mentality. But now that we're back on Webb, Ryan J. McAndrew said Webb is still in Vegas from what Rappaport said on ESPN, which that's an interesting thing. I will also say that on JT the Brick's show on Friday, there was a mass email sent to all Raider reporters that be on notice, because we are going to have basically a meeting on any given time. So be ready to be called in, because they're gonna mass produce the message once they hire their coach. So with Webb being in town still, I would try to find reports to see if Raiders media got called into the building, because that would definitely signal Webb is our coach.
That'll be the puff of white smoke coming through the chimney.
And I think we
At
got
the
to
Sistine Chapel.
yeah, we got to
You're
get
jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead.
James
Hold on.
Furpo.
Raiders.
I was gonna say, James, thanks for the spam. Sacktown Mike is in the house.
Oh, sorry.
Well, Sacktown Mike.
Yep. What's up, Sacktown?
Yep, Sacktown. And remind me, Rosetown, Sacktown, Bueno. Bueno will probably be popping in here in a little bit. I think he's not quite home yet or settled in. But getting back to what we're talking about.
Yeah. Another possible negative on Kubiak is his mentality. Like, he
Personality.
reports, and from like his interviews on the podium, because he is an offensive coordinator, doesn't seem like he's got a big personality, but that could also just be in front of the media. I mean, he could be completely different in the meeting room and on the field. So kind of got to take all that with a grain of salt, because people do put on a face for the media.
You ever heard of the phrase silent but violent?
Yeah.
That's pretty common, and Sacktown can attest to this, being in the military, that sometimes you come across a CO or a sergeant or something like that, whatever organization you're in, what rank, like in law enforcement, we had guys like that were sergeants and lieutenants, and we would say they're silent but violent, but you always followed them because they were really good leaders. They didn't have to say much. They didn't have to do jumping jacks and do the whole WWE pull the mask off type bullshit to get your attention. Sometimes it was just merely they would just have to say what they had to say, and you did it. And so that could be a characteristic trait of Kubiak, is what his personality is. Because we see what their offense is doing, right? That's his baby in Seattle. So, I mean, if for some reason we can get you to put that into a bottle and bring it back with us, bring it to Vegas, you'll be the savior of this franchise, my friend. So, but yeah, the silent but violent. I don't know, Sacktown, what they called it in the military, but when we were, I really learned about it when I was in basic post training. Our RTO that we had, one of the guys in my class said, "Man, he's silent but violent," and he was just one of those guys that he just talked. He always talked at the same level, and he was a drill instructor when he was in the military. So, but he always talked. He never yelled. If he got in your face, he commanded attention right now, and then he would just talk to you.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there going, "Oh my God, is he going to kill me or is he going to kiss me?" I can't tell either or, So, but that's on the Kubiak. More on Kubiak. I mean, we discussed the Shanahan thing and whatnot, but you also got to take into consideration that the Seattle Seahawks are gonna probably open up a checkbook to try and keep him as well. And since he's moved around quite a bit in the last 3 years, if he can lock down a decent paycheck as an offensive coordinator, be the highest pay. Let's say, give me Chip Kelly plus $1 million, $7 million a year for 3 years. I'll stay, because now he's setting himself up to, he'll get the money, that money as an offensive coordinator, but he also sets himself up to build on his resume. And then maybe in the future, when that Kansas City job comes open, or maybe even the Green Bay job comes open because LaFleur pisses down his leg again this year.
Yeah, I think that would be if he does stay in Seattle, it's not more of building up his resume or anything, because to me, the resume portion of it is, it's like kids staying in college. Is like they could end up shitting the bed and completely ruin their resume.
Well, if they give him the paycheck, that'll kind of offset that.
No, to me, it's, if he stays in Seattle, it's he's pulling a Ben Johnson and is waiting for the team he wants, basically, or the situation he wants.
That's the point. Thank you for using that. That was the point I was trying to get.
Yeah,
that there's no hurry to run out.
Into what you were saying, but yeah, it's definitely, if he does stay in Seattle, he's pulling a Ben Johnson. He's waiting for the team he wants, the situation he wants. I mean, because there is also a chance that Shanahan ends up losing the Niner job in a season or two also.
Yeah.
Because the Niners could end up pulling what the Bills did. Like, hey, you keep making the playoffs and you keep not getting us Super Bowls. It's time to...
Yeah, but this year, man, that guy did a miraculous coaching job this year.
No, he does every year. That team's hurt every single year.
Well, quit playing next to a damn electrical box.
I mean, if they want to point at that, sure.
So anybody that's in the chat, while we're at it, I'm going to roll some music for the chat. And I want you guys to throw some questions up there. What do you think? Is it Kubiak? Is it Webb? Maybe we should go Dable. Maybe
he's another guy.
Maybe we should go Dable as a head coach. Who knows? I mean, there's so many. I want to say we're being patient, we're being thorough, but also at the same time, it's like we don't want to wait too long, because then, if you wait too long to buy toilet paper, COVID's going to be over.
I got one theory, right? Who's the one hot coaching candidate that you really haven't heard anything about?
As far as
Shula.
Yeah.
Nobody's been talking about Shula at all.
That guy comes with the Rolodex
teams from the media, but there's no information coming out about Shula at all.
He comes with the Rolodex too. That's what I was saying on one of the other content creator shows. You hire, he's a defensive minded coach, but he comes with a Rolodex of contacts. He could build. Kubiak could build a staff too, but you bring Shula in, you would see probably one of the best coaching staffs in all the NFL. So, we're going to need to take a little break. We're going to go backstage. I'm going to roll this song. Anybody in the chat, start pouring questions out.
Yeah. Raider Nation worldwide. Primetime live. Chat gone crazy. Silver and black. You already know. Raiders in the chat. Yeah, we roll deep from the bay to the city where the lights don't sleep. Silver on my back, black pride in my soul. Hit play on the pile, let the whole world know. Raiders in the chat. Every voice get heard from the diehards. They went to the new school nurse. If you bleed silver, let me see that flame. This one for the fam, gotta say them names. Rosetown, they the reppin', never backing down. They want Raider love, 10 toes on the ground. I am not bueno, bringing truth to the feed. Say it loud, say it real, say exactly what we need. Sacktown Mike with the take, stay hot. From kick off the zeros on the final clock. Frame Weber, break it down, football IQ. Every angle, every play, yeah, you see it all too. Raiders in the chat. Yeah, we roll deep from the bay to the city where the lights don't sleep. Silver on my back, black pride in my soul. Hit play on the pilot, the whole world know. Raiders in the chat. Every voice get heard from the diehards. They went to the new school nurse. If you bleed silver, let me see that flame. This one for the fam, gotta say them names. Whoa. Michael Guerrero, stay loyal, stay loud. Win, lose or tie, still standing proud. Raider rebel, bring the fire, no fear in his tone. Say what other won't, make the mic his home. Raider. Central Coast vibes, ride or die nation. Yeah, we never divide. From preseason dreams to playoff hope, we debate, we argue, but it's love at the core. If you in the chat right now, make some noise. Type them shields, let them know it's the choice. Mine's in the back, hosts on the mic. This ain't just a pod, it's a nation for life. Yeah. Raiders in the chat. Yeah, we roll deep. Every city, every state. every heartbeat. Silver on my back, black pride in my soul. This that Raider podcast energy, solid gold. Raiders in the chat, yeah, the family's strong. Different voices, one team, one song. Turn it up, let the whole world know. Raider Nation standing tall, 10 toes. Say your waiters in the chat.
I had to go use the little boys' room. So sorry for the intermission.
DT Raiders, a thought. What about Tomlin? Groom a coach just like we do players. Tomlin is a very interesting coach, a very awesome locker room coach. There's two problems with him. One, we would have to trade for him, and he would also have to be willing to come here if we did trade for him. And then the other would be he's not a play caller on either side of the ball. So he's very, very reliant on his coordinators. That being said, he's been a stout coach for the Steelers for a long time, and he doesn't lose. So very interesting thought.
I think that hold on. I get an answer too. Don't I get an answer too? About Tomlin? There's my thought on Tomlin. One, I think there's no more juice left in that lemon. I think he's done what he's going to do as a head coach. He's taken it to the max that he could take it, and now it's time for him to go and still be a part of the NFL, but be a part of the NFL in a different way, and that's in the press box, or that's pregame, postgame, whatever it might be. I think he'd be fantastic at that. I myself would not. I mean, we're trying to once again try and regurgitate somebody else's success and bring it to our organization. I think it's time we just try and do it ourselves. Let's just do it. Let's get the guy that is young and upcoming and let him do it. I wholeheartedly agree that Lane Kiffin was a failure, but I think looking back now, he didn't get a fair shake. So, but we have to have that mentality. Go get a young, bright mind, because the greatness of the Raiders is the flame that burns brightest. And so that's where we got to go with that. I don't want to, and I'm not calling it a retread. You know, some people have different definitions of what a retread is or whatever. And there's some guys that I think that had a successful coaching career at one organization that you could bring into our organization and be successful. But a lot of those guys want turnkey rosters. We don't have a turnkey roster. So it's not going to happen. But
Sacktown Mike saying that we did interview Shula. Yes, we did. But again, there has been zero smoke on Shula.
No.
That's why I think it is a possibility that the Raiders may be trying to play chess and trying to push all these other coaches and saying absolutely zero about Shula. Mm-hmm. And because it almost seems like every time like another team was looking for a new head coach, all of a sudden one or two guys got linked to the Raiders, and then next thing you know, they signed with the team that was looking for a new head coach. So I almost am wondering if the Raiders organization is trying to play with the media and use it to their advantage. And Shula's been quiet the whole time. So low key, I think Shula may be the surprise out of nowhere signing.
If it happens.
Then again, we haven't scheduled a second interview with them after they lost. So there is that too.
Speaking of second interviews, weren't we supposed to have a second interview with Kubiak, at least via Zoom? I know we can't interview him in person, but we were the only us and the Bills, and I think somebody else were the only ones that interviewed him the first time. So that gave us, we could have a second interview this week. There's a window this week, I think, from yesterday, today, and tomorrow. There's a window we can interview.
Yeah.
And I was under the impression going into the weekend that we had a second interview schedule. but it doesn't sound like there was or is going to be. So,
No,
unless it was Tom Brady on the sideline of the game the other day was the second interview.
I thought the second interview was supposed to be Thursday. I could be wrong, but I thought I saw someplace that we were scheduled to have another interview with Kubiak.
Yeah. My understanding is, and this is coming from Adam Shifty Shifter, that all coaches would probably be in place by Wednesday afternoon. And you saw how today went.
Yeah.
And yesterday. So,
with it being reported Webb's still in Vegas, I mean, that is also a possibility.
We can only hope.
But we could be rolling that dice with the Al Davis pick and the real young, very bright-minded coach and Webb. Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I definitely think he is the biggest gamble out of all the candidates we've had. But sometimes you need that gamble. And if we're going to give him the time to grow with the team, then sure, I'm for it.
Yeah.
But if they're going to fire him after 1 or 2 seasons, then it's like, okay, it doesn't matter who's picking our head coach because we're going to keep doing the same thing.
So since you're on that topic of keep firing a head coach, if we go back to when with Dennis Allen, and Mark Davis has stayed true to this. He's got 3 principles of what he expects out of his head coach and his GMs. Number 1 is progress. If he sees progress, it's if you go into the season, you come off of a season of 6-10, progress is 7-11 or 6-11 to 7-10, maybe a little bit more. Maybe you want to be in that 9-8, 8-9. With a lot of competitive games, and you're in it till the end for a playoff spot, and then you're showing the owner that we're building something here, right? And so when we get to Jack Del Rio did that. But after 2016 into 2017, he took a nosedive, right? So, and then 2018 obviously was the end all be all. But in fairness to Jack Del Rio, it was going to be Mark Davis wanted John Gruden the moment after his dad passed away. Yeah. So that writing was on the wall. He'd already interviewed John Gruden before he hired Reggie McKenzie, and was trying to talk him out of the booth. And Gruden obviously was sitting on, what was he getting paid, like $18 million a year or something like that, working for ESPN? It was way more than a coach's salary. That's for damn sure. But then when Gruden decided to flip the switch and go, okay, I want to coach again, then it was like, okay, Jack, you're out. John, you're in. And then, of course, the emails. We can go over that all over again. But the bottom line is that Mark Davis wants progress. He doesn't want no violence in any of his players, coaches, or executives. No violence, no domestic violence, no violence whatsoever. And hold good character values and be involved in the community. That's all he asks. As far as the X's and O's, he doesn't meddle in. He doesn't. If anything, if Mark Davis is guilty of anything, is not being hands up on enough with the franchise. If that's where I think he's guilty, he's not hands on enough.
Well, no, he's taken that step back, and it's 2 other people's problem now. So time will tell how that goes. Just been bad, baby. Bills can't interview Kubiak till after the Super Bowl. Well, don't got to worry about that because Bills promoted their offensive coordinator to their head coach, Joe Brady.
That's taken care of. Yeah.
Yep. So we don't got to worry about the Bills snatching up a coach.
The spotlight's on us right now, as far as the coaches. Whatever hot shot candidates that are left out there, the spotlight's on us to whether or not we can fill that void. Everybody else is, I think it's us, Cleveland, and Arizona are the only ones that are still doing the coaching carousel thing as far as trying to find the next coach. I think if we hire Davis Webb, it needs to be an emphatic, no holds barred, 3 years. And if they go 1-15 or 2-14 next year, then it don't matter. He's still coaching in 2027.
Well, I would put money on that the next head coach is going to get a 4-year contract to match the length of Spytek's contract.
Spytek's contract, yeah.
They're going to be married.
Yep.
Just been bad, baby. Don't kid yourself if think Davis doesn't know football. Well,
he probably knows more than most of us.
I'm going to listen to Mark Davis because he himself says he doesn't know that much. So he leaves football to the football minds. He hires coaches to coach and GMs to pick the players and lets them do their job. I'm not going to say he's completely ignorant in it because he's been around football his entire life. He has to know some stuff. Plus, he's great friends with a lot of old-time Raiders. So he's definitely picks their brains. But I mean, the guy himself says he doesn't know. He's not the end all be all of football. So I'm just going to believe him on what he says. Sacktown Mike, did you hear what Sean Payton said when asked about David Webb possibly going to the Raiders? I did not. If you want to elaborate, Sacktown Mike, so we can show
I think he said something to the effect it's going to kick him in the butt. To that effect. But, it's all – here's the deal. If the Spytek Brady combination relationship can soothe the soreness of what we've been through for the last 20 years, then I think that the next coach has actually got it made, to be quite honest with you. And you can sit back as a head coach, let those guys make those decisions. I'm going to coach the team, and that's where bringing in a young guy like that helps, because they're not going to have as much influence in those contract negotiations. And, basically a younger head coach, and Gruden did this with Al Davis. Al Davis would go, "What do you need?" And he would tell him, and Al Davis would go out and get those players for him. And that's kind of how the GM head coach should be. I know that there's been a lot of GM quote head coach GM combos where the one person does all, but it's hard to say because Belichick kind of changed that theory when he did it. But there are some people that, as a head coach, you're a great head coach, but you suck as a GM, and you're trying to do both, and it's just making it worse. So that's why I'm leaning a younger head coach is what we definitely need.
Yeah,
it's gonna bring us back to that, and then let the GM be the GM, but the GM has to listen to the head coach too.
Yeah, but I also think it's easier for a younger head coach to focus more on the coaching side of things and not worry about the player personnel. Mm-hmm. Whereas, look at Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, the one that just signed with the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
He's an experienced head coach and knows exactly what he wants, and handpicked his GM, and that way he has 100% say of everything that has to do with the football side of things. Yeah. Frank Weber saying, "Dirty Harry said a good man knows his limitations." Yep. And I've always been consistent with what I say about Mark Davis. He's done a great thing for the Raiders organization and moving the team and making money. And he selects guys to do their job, and he lets them do their job. Mm-hmm. So, I by no means think Mark is a terrible owner at all, because
he's trying.
He's done the best he can, and unfortunately, he's just selected the wrong people. And then the one guy in John Gruden that looked like we were starting to have success with had the email stuff come out to save the then Redskins owner, because he was the Redskins owner. I don't remember his name, but he was starting to blow up in the news about all the sex scandals and everything about sexually harassing people that worked under him. And then shortly after that, all of a sudden, these emails blew up from John Gruden. So I think it was definitely a smokescreen. And then at the end of the season, all of a sudden, the Washington football team has a new owner. So,
yeah. So anyway, getting back to with Mark Davis, though, I truly think the way he did it when he first took over, and he said, "I don't know anything about football. I'm going to hire somebody that knows football to come in and run the football center." And he hired Reggie McKenzie. Reggie McKenzie brings in Dennis Allen, right? Dennis Allen did not show progress. He did not show that they were going to have any type of success with him as a head coach. And obviously, he had a second stint later on in his career, which was the exact same thing. So it's a proven point that he was a coordinator that he wasn't going to ascend farther than a coordinator position into a head coach and be successful. So that was proof in and of itself. Then he let Reggie McKenzie hire the next coach. He hires Jack Del Rio. Jack Del Rio did a great job, but Jack Del Rio also had limitations too because he could only get the Jacksonville Jaguars to a certain point. He couldn't get them over the top. See, we're trying to get over the top. We're trying to get to the mountain. Trying to get to the peak. We're trying to plant our flag at the top of that mountain as the number one franchise in the NFL, as a winning organization. But when he had Jack Del Rio and then he had Reggie McKenzie, when they fired Jack Del Rio, which was Mark Davis fired Jack Del Rio, not Reggie McKenzie. When Mark Davis fired Jack Del Rio, because he knew he was going to bring in John Gruden. Obviously, Reggie McKenzie had no say in the hire of John Gruden. So that in and of itself creates a disconnect. You're already starting to create a bad formula for how you're going to run the organization. And then you let John Gruden bring in his guy, who is Mike Mayock, who was very instrumental in us drafting Robert Gallery. So I really truly think that president of football operations with the general manager, they make those decisions. And if Mark Davis doesn't like what he sees, he goes to the president of football operations and says, "I am not happy with the way the team is performing. I need you to provide me with details as to why this is happening and report back to me in 7 days as to how we can fix this." And then you leave it at that. You let the president of football operations convene with the general manager and the coaching staff as to how you're going to correct the problem because the owner is not happy with what he's seeing on the field. So that's how a perfect hierarchy in the NFL should work.
yeah. Well, we're the Raiders. Nothing's perfect.
Well,
But, I mean, in a sense, that's basically what Tom Brady is he's the football operations guy, and then
yeah.
we have our GM and Spy Tech.
No.
But getting back to our original point of the show is, who do we want to be the Raiders head coach? Or who do we think is going to be the Raiders head coach? I mean, a lot of people are pointing at Kubiak now because we didn't sign Webb, and we're waiting to.
But Webb's still in Vegas.
Yeah. And then McDaniels technically didn't sign with the Chargers either.
No, he did. They've already announced that he signed a contract. But he can still take a head coaching job. They can't block the head coaching position.
Right. But personally, I'd rather have McDaniel over Webb, because at least with McDaniel, he has a proven track record of being a very good offensive mind. And even though the Dolphins weren't that great this year, they were playing tough football. They were showing some poise out there, even though they had a crap ton of injuries.
I don't know if you remember, but we were battling with them, the Giants and the Browns and the Jets for the number one pick midway through the season. They had a resurgence towards the end of the year and were playing damn good football.
Yeah.
They were winning. So, and there was a couple games that they lost that I thought they played damn good, but they just ran out of juice.
Yeah. But another thing that has me more interested in McDaniel as a head coach is, out of the four offensive minds of Dable, Webb, Kubiak, and McDaniel, is
Mhm.
McDaniel's really the only one that truly utilized the tight end, especially after oh geez, what's his name? The old Raider. He used to have the reception record for the Raiders. Tight end.
Waller.
Yeah. But McDaniel's the only one that's shown that he can utilize the tight end so far in their system.
Well, anybody can. Really, in all honesty, it's just a matter of what kind of tight end you have and how you use them. I don't know. I don't think Seattle has that top notch tight end. But when you got JSN over there, do you really need a tight end? I mean, that guy's two receivers built into one, man.
Well, I mean, I disagree with what you're saying just because we've had Bowers for 2 years and he's shown he's the best player on the football field every time he's on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we
So
don't
you
target
utilize him.
absolute hell out of him.
Well, that
We need a quarterback and a coach that will use the tight end.
mm-hmm.
And we're going to find a lot of success just by being able to do that because
Man.
Bowers is a force.
Yeah.
And Mayer's pretty damn good tight end too. Like getting a coach in the building that can utilize the tight ends, like that would be a big focus for me personally, just because of utilizing the strengths of the team that we have.
Michael Mayer would be a starting tight end on 25 of the out of 32 teams in this NFL.
Probably, yeah. But we've had, 4 play callers now in 2 seasons, and none of them use Brock Bowers. And he still broke records for us last year, and it seemed like he was not being targeted like crazy.
Well, he's not being targeted enough to satisfy our thirst. That's for damn sure.
Well, we want to win games, and it seems like every time we throw the ball to Bowers, we get closer to winning games.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I really don't think it's that difficult to figure out that Bowers definitely can carry a team on his back, and we just have not been utilizing him. Now, granted, the first half of the season he was hurt, so there was that. But then he came back, had that 3-touchdown game, and then he had. Did he even have a single game after his 3-touchdown game where he had more than 6 targets? Like he might have had a game with 8, but like why are we not utilizing Bowers? That's the ridiculous thing.
Could I be honest with you? We didn't utilize anybody last year.
Yeah.
We could have had Jerry Rice, Tim Brown, Joe Montana. It wouldn't have mattered last year. I don't think that they even knew what. I don't think they knew what the right hand was doing from the left hand last year. To be quite honest with you, and all started in the trenches with the hiring of the son, and then all that nepotism that kicked in, and that shit's real, man. You're not going to see it per se from where we're standing, but if you ever been in a situation like that before, where nepotism was king, God, it freaking sucks because you can't do anything without daddy's little boy going and playing tattletale.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Problem was, Spytech did more coaching than most of our coaching staff did last year.
I think that was another issue too.
Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. But anyways, we're looking for a new coach. Hopefully they allow that coach to hire their coaching staff. And who's your favorite pick for head coach right now?
Me, I'm 70% Kubiak, 70% Kubiak, 25% Webb, 5% Dable. And the only reason why I'm 5% Dable is because if for some reason we start sliding down the side of the cliff trying to get us the right coach, at least with him coming in, we know he has some semblance with young quarterbacks, and he is a strong offensive-minded kind of person. I don't think he had all the ingredients other than Malik Neighbors. And of course, he had Daniel Jones. I think he kind of ruined Daniel Jones in a roundabout way. But I think with Jackson Dart, he was starting. It's funny. I thought him and Jackson Dart were a good match, and they just didn't get that enough time to gel. I think with time that those two could have really clicked together with the style of play, because Jackson Dart was that same mold as what Buffalo does with Josh Allen. A mobile quarterback can use his mobility as part of the scheme, not just as an emergency in case of emergency, break glass, take off and run. But yeah, the downfall with Dable though, it was he's another one of those guys that outcoached themselves. You know, this old adage of you're on your own 35-yard line with 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and going for it is like, come on, why? You know, if you don't get the first down, you're going to cost yourself the game in the second quarter. You know that. You absolutely know that. You're going to gamble. You're going to take that big of a risk. Whereas play it safe, punt the ball, let your defense, who's probably at the time playing halfway decent, let them do their thing. You know?
Yeah. I mean, personally, me, I'm not a Dable fan at all. There was two offensive guys I did not want even near the head coach conversation for us, and that's Joe Brady and Brian Dable. I just not a fan of either one of them. Dable, I find hard to give credit for Josh Allen's success. Like, people want to say Dable's responsible for creating Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. Maybe, but I mean, he had Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones is a pretty talented quarterback, and just for whatever reason, it did not connect there.
Yeah,
and
he regressed.
The Colts, and he finds instant success.
Yeah.
And then Joe Brady, I truly think he is a offensive mind that succeeds from his quarterback being great, because he succeeded with Joe Burrow and he succeeded with Josh Allen. And I don't know. I personally find it hard to believe in a head coach or an offensive mind that has done nothing but relied on great quarterbacks.
Okay.
So those two I definitely didn't want. And Shula has been consistently like my number one or number two guy. Like, something about Shula really intrigues me. I know he's a defensive guy, so you got to worry about your offensive coordinator getting snatched up if they find success on the offensive side of the ball. But just something about Shula, I think could be a great leader. He's young, defensive minded. Like, I think he could be a very, very great long-term coach in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably my favorite candidate.
And
sorry, go ahead.
He brings a lot of contacts with them too.
Yeah.
I mean,
so he definitely can pick up coaches and bring them in to be the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I mean, if all else fails, you keep losing your offensive coordinator, keep bringing in somebody from the McVay tree. Seems like that can work. But out of the offensive guys, I only liked Kubiak and McDaniel. I was saying McDaniel would be very interesting, especially as an offensive coordinator, if the Dolphins fired him, because I liked Shula. So bring in Shula and then bring Mike McDaniel as the OC, but obviously we can't do that now. But Kubiak is very interesting, because to me, he doesn't quite have enough resume, but it's also at that point where you have to take the gamble on him because he's not going to be available for you if you wait.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely some interesting names still, and it's down to 3 teams now waiting to pick a head coach.
Yeah, let me double check real quick. Let's see.
The Browns, the Cardinals, and us. Because the Ravens got Minter, the Steelers got McCarthy. The Titans hired Nagy, was it? Matt Nagy?
Yeah, so it's Arizona, Cleveland, Las Vegas, and then so that's who the recent hires are. New York hired John Harbaugh. Falcons hired Stefanski. Dolphins hired Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. Baltimore hired Jesse Minter, and then the Buffalo Bills promoted Joe Brady today. Uh, I know the Cleveland Browns are interested in Schwartz and Munkin. Jim Schwartz and Todd Munkin. Those are kind of the two guys that they've got their hands on. Arizona right now, they're looking at Anthony Weaver. I think he's coming in for a second interview, in-person interview. And then Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur. Oh, also Jaguars defensive coordinator Anthony Campanile is one of their targets. So in the long run, what had happened, basically it was us and Buffalo were eyeing the same candidates. Now that Buffalo has hired Joe Brady, it kind of puts us with those specific candidates. It's kind of like it's us or nobody for them.
Yeah.
I don't unless Arizona comes out and says, "Hey, we would like to talk to Clint Kubiak after the Super Bowl." If nothing happens, then that could be a possibility in and of itself. But I don't see Arizona targeting Clint Kubiak. I think they want to stick to a defensive mind and still maybe hope that defensive minded coach can bring in his own offensive coaches. I'll spit it out eventually. Offensive coaches to get Kyler Murray to work. Granted, that's a tall task. I think Kyler Murray's hit his ceiling a couple times, even though he's super short. But I think that one's pretty much done.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, most of Raider Nation wants Mendoza, right? Quarterback of the long future. Mm-hmm. And with that, I think the majority of those Raider fans want an offensive coach as the head coach. Mm-hmm. So if we strip it all away, what offensive coaches out there seem to be able to develop quarterbacks? And Kubiak has seemed to find success with veteran guys that have struggled in their past. I mean, Carr has shown glimpses of being really good, but has also struggled for quite a few seasons too. And then came in with Darnold, and Darnold looks just as good, if not better, than last year than he did with the Minnesota Vikings. And then he was also with the Vikings, right, where they had Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins played really well with them too. So I think Kubiak's track record shows that he's pretty quarterback friendly. Webb, I mean, I don't think there's enough experience there yet to say he's truly good or not good with quarterbacks, but considering he was a backup quarterback in the NFL and he is the current quarterback coach of the Broncos, I mean, I would think he's somewhat safe for quarterbacks, but I mean, it's hard to tell. Yeah. And then you got Mike McDaniel, who showed Tua could be a really good quarterback in the NFL as long as he stayed healthy, and then ended up getting one too many concussions and probably does not have a much long NFL career. So Mike McDaniel.
So let's do that. Let's do this, Duncan. Let's do this. All right. We're going to strip everything away. All right. Which candidate actually develops a quarterback? Just give me one word answers.
McDaniel.
Okay. Who builds confidence instead of managing games?
McDaniel.
Who can evolve as the league evolves?
I think both McDaniel and Kubiak.
I think Kubiak's got the edge there. I think he's more. I think he can evolve a little bit more than what McDaniel's pretty headstrong with his concepts. But
with McDaniel, I think he's shown he's able to adapt because teams start figuring him out, and then all of a sudden they start scoring again. Whereas with Kubiak, I think his is more he's shown growth in his ability to play call.
Okay. Which would you rather have, a scheme expert versus a teacher, play caller versus developer?
I would rather have a developer,
Okay.
which I kind of
Which
think
which
McDaniel-
one of these which one of these candidates screams Raider football?
Shula.
Let's take into consideration toughness, accountability, commanding presence, no corporate vibes allowed.
Which one screams Raiders football with those in mind?
Mm-hmm.
I think Shula.
Okay. I somewhat agree with you, but I think Kubiak still gets a nod there, only because of his efficiency. He's very clearly just well, let's go back to his New Orleans days. He started off that offense was on fire until Derek Carr again got hurt, so that kind of took the sting out of him. But then he goes to Seattle this year, and that offense, especially in the last month and a half, has been massive. I mean, you if you could bottle that offense up, bring it to Las Vegas, son, I will fly you there myself. All right, let me do some rapid fire with you, bro. You ready?
Real quick,
Mm-hmm.
your daughter says hi.
Oh, hi, my daughter, my daughter.
And then my dad's asking, was Gruden a developer or a schemer? I mean, I agree with him. He was a schemer. I mean, because he was terrible at drafting. You can't develop what you don't have.
That's why he depended on veterans.
Yeah.
He depended on veterans that already had tools in the toolbox. You know, so.
And then Rosetown came in with the, if we miss out on both Kubiak and Webb, give me Mike LaFleur or Shula. Intriguing option. McDermott, too. Yeah, McDermott is very intriguing, but.
Man. I wouldn't be pissed if we had to fall to McDermott, but I bet he would be pissed.
Yeah.
Which could be a good thing. It could be a good thing. He's like, here I am. I did all this, blah blah blah, and now I'm the last one picked by the Raiders to be their coach.
Yeah.
All right, rapid fire. Chat. Everybody in the chat, pay attention to what's going on. Right. We're gonna go. One word answers. Okay. High risk, high reward. Yes or no? Who do you want? An offensive genius or a locker room alpha?
A locker room alpha or a what?
An offensive genius or a locker room alpha?
Offensive genius.
How long should the next coach get? 2, 3, or 4 years?
4 years.
All right. Having said that, this franchise doesn't need another caretaker. It needs vision and a backbone. We need somebody that can take the heat off of this fan base, away from this fan base, because it is on fire right now. There are way too many people that are pissed off in the Raider Nation. In one word, can you describe your ideal Raider coach?
Young.
All right. This hire decides whether the Raiders rise or fall. You understand that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, are we going to keep explaining themselves away? This is Raider Nation. This is what we want, right? We deserve it. It's been way too long that we've been dealing with this stuff. So it comes a point in time we got to get it right. Got to get it right. And if it takes waiting another week or two, I'm all for it. But I also understand too that waiting could cause a bigger problem than what it's worth to wait. Because if we wait for that particular candidate and then he decides, nah, I'm going to stick where I'm at, then it's like, now what do we do?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I want a young and hungry head coach. Kubiak, Webb, McDaniel, whoever, Shula, it don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whoever announces our head coach hiring needs to come out and say, listen, Raider Nation, the greatness of the Raiders and is in its future. And we're always striving for the commitment to excellence. And for the past few seasons, we have not been able to commit, and we have been far from excellence. And we are committing to this head coach for a minimum of 4 years. And we're going to be striving for that excellence. And then we can truly achieve the greatness in the Raiders.
Yeah.
So, us as Raider Nation, we get a young coach. We draft Mendoza. We as Raider Nation need to have patience. Minimum of 2 years, we are not making the playoffs. It's flat out simple. We need to build this team. We need to build the coaching staff. We need to build the attitude in the locker room. And we need to find our leaders.
Aha. What was that you just said?
Need to find our leaders.
Pretty important. That's probably the biggest problem we had last year was the lack of leadership. And I never thought I would say that about a Pete Carroll coach team, but it was god awful proof. There was no leadership on that team. Even some of the other teams that were at the bottom of the barrel, as far as their records, had some semblance of leadership and were competitive in games. You know, I mean, the Jets, for example, took the Buccaneers to the brink of a win. You know, I watched that game. That was a crazy game. But, you know, just the leadership starts at the top and trickles its way down. And it's not just one person that can be your leader. Everybody else has to have leadership qualities in them as well. You know, so let's get the coach. The coach has to be a leader. Then get the quarterback. The quarterback has to be a leader.
Yep.
And then you get that offensive lineman that is a leader. Okay. As much as we think JPJ and Colton Miller are our leaders, I think we could do better than that. I really do. No knock on those two, but I think we could do better than that.
Yeah. And DT Raiders said we need stability and then growth 100%. And that's why I said that need to come out and say we're committing to this coach for a minimum of 4 years. And as long as it's not a retread, that everybody likes to throw around that word, as long as it's not a retread coach and we get Mendoza, we understand we're in the long haul of building our roster for the future and continued success.
Yeah.
So,
look who showed up all of a sudden.
Robert
Pena. Did you get that car, Mr. Pena? Sighttown Mike's got a good one here. Just there was no chain of command. And really, in honesty, I'm not happy with the way the chain of command is right now either. So,
well, I would say we're starting off good. I mean, Mark Davis came out, made it clear Spytek and Brady are in charge now.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're biding their time, going through all their candidates and interviewing them all. I mean, hopefully it's a good thing they're going through them all and they're being patient and not everybody is telling them no and leaving. I mean, because if we're not signing a coach after the Super Bowl within a day or two, I think then it's starting to come up with that black smoke, like you said earlier. And then it might be time to hit that panic button.
Well, I'm gonna go into the hierarchy and the chain of command of how I feel that the way we've kind of set it up, and I'm not real confident in it, is because if I'm the owner of the team, I'm the executive owner numero uno, I'm Mark Davis. And obviously he said Spytek and Brady will collaborate to hire the next head coach. I walk into either one of those guys' office. I want to know, the first question I'm going to ask is, whose ass do I chew when we don't win games next year? And if they go like this, we have a problem. Okay. If they go like this, him pointing away, we have a problem. And on top of that, if they both at the same time say me, there's a problem. There's no chain of command at that point.
Well, here's the chain of command automatically. It's Brady's on top and then Spytek.
Yeah.
Brady's an owner. He's not getting fired. So
Mhm.
then automatically you're looking at Spytek.
Okay.
And they're jointly making the decisions, but Spytek's the one that can be removed. So,
yeah.
I
So
mean,
here's a way that I would do it. If that's the way the hierarchy is, this is the way I would do it. Okay. I'm gonna put my GM hat on. The owner is gonna go. Them two are gonna collaborate to hire the next coach. Okay. The way I would do it is okay. Spytek, go out, get your candidates, interview your candidates. I want you to interview them about football and football only. Okay. When you feel confident that the guy that you interviewed meets the needs and determinations of what we need as a franchise, you are to put together an exclusive report with synopsis and theories. Provide that to Tom Brady. Tom Brady will review whatever candidates that he feels comfortable with. He calls them in for the second interview, which would involve him and Mark Davis. That interview is going to pertain to personality, coaching styles. What's your vision? What's your goals? Right? Because Spytek is going to worry about the football aspect of it. Now they're going to worry about what the overall vision of that coach is. Right? This is where Al Davis was actually really good. Was he would know everything about that candidate from a personal level before he interviewed him regarding football. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Okay. Then once they've done that and they've scored their evaluations as to who and rank them 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, however many you do, and then Spytek has his rankings based on the football. You collaborate those two, put them together, and whoever has that better score combined, that's going to be your target, and that's who you're going to go after. Does it make sense? Now you're satisfying everything from the personal side of life and the football side of life, and combining them, and you're satisfying what the owner wants, what the executive owner wants, and what the GM wants. Right? And then that coach will thrive because he already knows that his style and his ability is going to carry over, and now he can coach as needed to fit what they want. That's how I would do it. But if they're doing it this Rochambeau, we'll bring a guy in, we both sit down and you ask a question, you ask a question, you ask a question, you ask a question, and then when he leaves, they're gonna say, I like him here, but I don't like him here. It's you kind of got to do it blindly. Between Spytek and Brady, kind of need to do it blindly. Not necessarily in the same room together, but do it blindly because of the way the hierarchy is set. Because you just said that when it comes down to it, Brady's the owner. He ain't going to fire himself. The only one that's going to get fired is Spytek. So in a roundabout way, it's not fair to Spytek to have whatever type of input he has, because if Brady picks a guy, trumps him, and says, I like that guy, we're just going to take him, and he ain't worth the salt, the salt on earth, he ain't worth anything, then Spytek's the one without the job.
Yeah. Well, he signed up for that job, and that's how it works in the NFL.
Yeah. So you get what you pay for, right?
Get what you asked for.
Yeah.
You asked for the job, you signed up for it. If you don't produce, see you bye.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we won't know this until the far future, but whether Brady is okay to work for or not as a GM.
That's another thing.
I mean, well, like let's say okay, they fail at this coaching search. They gave him 3 years, 4 years, whatever. Like they gave him the actual time to coach and figure out what they're going to do. And the roster's coming around, and the players are looking really good, but the coaching's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Does Spytek get signed an extension, or do they let him go because they failed at the coaching?
Yeah.
Because that will be a big teller on like how much say did Spytek have in the coaching decision. But
being the GM, he should have a lot of say.
well, 100%.
It really, in all honesty, it should be. He goes to Tom Brady and says, "This is the guy I want to coach my team." Then Tom Brady could do his evaluation from there, and he can say, "I don't necessarily think he's a good fit for our organization, and these are the reasons why." And if he can explain to Spytek that these are the reasons why I don't want him in our organization, or excuse me, I don't think he's a good fit for our organization, then Spytek needs to address that.
Yeah.
And he needs to sell it to Brady because he's not selling to Mark. Mark's going to sign off of whatever Tom Brady says. That's where we're at with this now. He's just going to say if Tom Brady goes, "Hey, we're hiring this guy," he goes, "Good. When do we do a press conference?" And then Mark Davis is going to have to sit down, and then he has to do his homework where he'll have his assistant put together a profile for him so he can go before the press conference because he ain't going to know shit until he gets that bio resume provided to him.
DT Raiders on the point Jason was making, I think you got it backwards a little bit. I think it was Spytek interviews his choices, picks out the guys that he likes, hands the list to Brady, and then the Brady can go through them. And then
it's two parts. Let me explain. Yeah, let me explain it so it's clearly understandable. Spytek goes out and makes his contacts with the potential coaching candidates based off their football acumen. Okay, he brings them in. His job is to interview them specifically from the football acumen side of things. Okay, what's your X's and O's? What's your scheme fit? How do you feel about this player? How do you feel about that player? Can you work with this player? Are you going to be good if we draft a rookie quarterback? If he says, "I want Fernando Mendoza," and Spytek goes, "We're drafting Fernando Mendoza," then you already got them on page with everybody. He prepares his report, his reasons for why this is a good candidate. Give it a score. Like I'm going to grade him a 93.5 on in football acumen. This guy here is a 92.1 in football acumen. I have this guy at a 91. Then you ship those over to Brady. Brady reviews those. Now, Tom Brady can go into more details of what is your philosophy, what's your personal strengths, what's your personal weaknesses. How do you feel about an established roster? Can you cohesively work with the general manager that can build you a roster? Basically now it's actually not division. He's actually stepping in and going, you as a head coach and you as a GM, I want to make sure you and him can work together. That's what his interview is going to be. And they're going to be separate interviews. Does that make sense? Then when they narrow it down to that guy, you do what's called a final entrance interview. Okay. Where you, the GM, the executive owner, and Mark Davis are all in the room together, and you're just going to talk about life in the interview. What's your vision for the team? How do you feel about the culture of our team? Tell us about your family. Tell us about your upbringing. What do you like to do for recreation? You start asking those questions, and then you know this is going to be the right guy for us, because you might get that guy that's super smart, super smart guy when it comes to X's and O's, but he's got a personality like Pee Wee Herman. You want him in your organization? You're just going to falter. You're going to set yourself up for failure. And I agree with Southtown Mike. If Tom Brady can't be with the Raiders full time, I don't think he should have final word on anything, right? And the way I'm presenting it is he doesn't have final word. It's not Tom Brady that is signing off on it, just Tom Brady. It's all three of them are doing. Does that make sense? It's where Spytek's doing the X's and O's. Tom Brady's doing the philosophy scheme. Okay. Maybe bring in some of his past incidences of coaching, of how do you see what can you do this now? Would you feel comfortable with the RGM picking your players for you? How could you and him work together? Because I want to know. If I'm going to sign off on this as a hire, I want to know. Then if he's comfortable with it, he takes it to Mark Davis. Mark Davis looks at it. They go, let's bring him in for a final interview. And we're going to hire him, right? But we want to sit down with them and we want to get all the nuts and bolts tightened before we go out to Raider Nation and say, Raider Nation, this is a big effing day. This is our guy.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with Sacktown Mike too. I mean, if he's not going to be a full-time Raider, then he shouldn't have the final say on anything.
Nope. I totally agree with that.
Our opinion doesn't matter. Brady's an owner. He can do as he pleases. Mark Davis is the majority owner, so he technically has final say, but if we're to take Mark at his word, he gave that power to Brady and Spytek, and guess what? Brady's the owner in that duo. So,
yeah, it just leads me to the curiosity of exactly how that is being played out. Because if you have I said it earlier, if you have an executive owner and a GM, and both of them have different views on things, then there's going to be some dissension. But if you label it where Mr. Spytek, you're going to pick your guys that you think could be a good coach under your system, bring them in, interview them basis, and your interview is going to be based off of X's and O's and roster management. Okay. Then if you're satisfied with that guy, score him. You interview 3 guys, give them a score. I got this guy at 93. I got this guy at 92. This guy at 91. Send the top 3 that you interviewed. Send them to Brady. Let Brady review that. Let him do an interview with them based on scheme fit. How do you think you can work with our GM? Because if that potential candidate shows any semblance that he's going to venture off onto his own path away from the GM when it comes to building the roster, then we're going to have issues. And that's where Tom Brady can cut that off at the knees right then and there.
Well, I mean, ultimately, if Brady is in that position of president of football personnel or whatever, it's ultimately going to be his decision on the coach. And then it's going to be Spytek is mainly player personnel. So they're going to be separate, which if that's how it works out, I'm completely okay with that. Because then you're giving people, this is your job, you do this job. Coach, this is your job, go coach up the players. And that kind of sets up a chain of command there because people are assigned to a job and they're going to be expected to do it. And if they can't, they're going to be fired. Final line, though, huge decision for the Raiders that should be coming up within, 2 weeks minimum?
I would say if we have not made a decision on a head coach by Friday, which would be the Davis Webb route, if it's not set in stone by Friday, then we're going to be in a holding pattern waiting for then Kubiak is our target.
Well, because that being said, Super Bowl coaches can agree to terms. They just can't physically sign it.
You can't and you can't announce it.
You can announce it. In the past, coaches have been blown up in the media that, future head coach of this organization, coaching their last game with the team, are they going to win the Super Bowl kind of thing.
Now I see that in college a lot, but it probably has. I'm not doubting you. I'm sure it has happened. Um, I don't. To me, at the NFL level, when it happens with the Super Bowl, when you got Super Bowl coaches that are pending being hired, it seems to me like that would be destructive to the NFL. Because if all of a sudden this guy decides not to take the job, you just spent a whole 15-minute segment at the Super Bowl talking about how this guy's going to go to this team, be the head coach. Now a week later, he's not the head coach. He decides he doesn't want to. That kind of makes the NFL and those teams look stupid.
Look, not to be an ass or anything, but
Oh,
it
you are.
already happened.
Yeah, I know. And it doesn't look good.
Josh McDaniel did to the Colts.
Yeah.
And then the very next offseason, we hired the clown.
Well, that was he announced during the Super Bowl to be the Colts head coach? Or was that after the Super Bowl?
I'm not sure, but it was already talked about. McDaniel is the hottest coaching commodity to be the next head coach of an organization. All I did was talk him up. And then it was strongly linked to the Colts. And then, oh, hey, he's going in Indianapolis. He's going to sign with them. And then all of a sudden, no, he decided to go back to New England.
Nah. I myself, as a franchise, would not want to announce it until after the Super Bowl. Only because it's just like that. That's a big old cream pie right in the face.
Sacktown Mike.
And the skipper knows all about cream pies in the face. He's been splattered a few times. Okay, I'm good, guys. Out. No more opinions. I'm gonna probably jump in the chat on his show in a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're gonna go to bed. Your eyes went down with the sun.
Yeah, but my ambiance light, for some reason, it's in the wrong. I got to figure out a new position to put it in because it's sitting right at my eyebrow, right here. It's like every time I turn my head, I go. It's like looking into the sun.
You can't blame.
Maybe I should do this.
You can't.
This is actually better. Now this is better. But yeah, I have yawned a couple times.
Still look tired as hell.
I still have yawned a couple times.
Final line. Raiders
you got diapers to change, don't you?
That will put us on tracks on what we're going to be looking at for the next 2 to 4 years. And we just got to stay tuned. Hopefully it's some good news, and hopefully it's not oh my God, the house is burning down because nobody wants to sign with us.
Yeah. We want white smoke. That's what we want. We want some white smoke.
Yeah.
If anybody that knows what I'm talking about, it's the conclave whenever they go to select a pope. All the people sit there and watch the Sistine Chapel and wait for the white smoke. If the white smoke comes out, they've found a pope. If black smoke comes out, it means they got to start all over and find a different person.
Yeah. Well, Vegas is a desert, and the fans of Vegas are begging for some rain, and hopefully our next coach and quarterback bring it.
Yeah. Well, my friend, I've had fun tonight. I think hopefully we can talk about our new head coach. Next week, you probably will be running solo for at least the first half, if not the whole show. I have to take my mom to a doctor's appointment next Tuesday, right at the time that the show is supposed to start. But it's only supposed to take about an hour. So hopefully I can get back in time because I know Sacktown Mike will probably be upset if I'm not on the show. I know he always looks forward to seeing me on the show. 401 Raider Jeff, he don't care. That's just the way that goes with us. But for all in all, everybody that's been in the chat, Robert Pena, thank you, brother, for being in here so much. You guys, Sacktown Mike, DT Raider, Dad. Salute, Dad. Thanks for coming in. I know my Daughter was in here. I didn't see your chat, though, here. Rosetown Native, thanks for coming in. There's only 5 people left. We had about 15, 18 people popping in here. Now, of those 5 guys that are still here, if you want to do me a favor, send the link to some of your friends. Tell your friends, hey, come watch this show because these 2 knuckleheads, they kind of know what they're talking about a little bit.
And then they get to rambling because the chat's not right.
Yeah. if we're not getting anything in the chat, I mean, I can sit here and talk all day. Trust me, I can sit here and talk all day.
Oh, we believe you.
And but that's not what we're here for. We're here for you guys, and we want the Raider Nation to come together. I don't have any guests planned for next week. Maybe you could hook up a guest to come on the show next week. I know I am going to bring Sacktown Mike on sometime. Get the old Army guy in here and have him chop it up with us. He's I've known him for a while. He's a good dude, man. Real good dude. Maybe we can get hey, Mike, do you think I should bring Jack Kenna on the show? No? All right. I talked to Nab, man, see if he wanted to come on. I got a buddy of mine, Allo Peasy, seeing if he wants to come on. Oh, a guy I used to tailgate with all the time. A couple other guys that said, yeah, it's just a matter of calling them over the weekend and getting it set up and getting them the link to come on. But we also got guys in our Discord chat. Anybody from Rodney All Aboard Discord, if you're in here, if you're not, whatever, I don't care. But, maybe we can get some of those. I know Zach is going to come on, but it's probably going to be a month or two before he comes on. He's super busy right now. So he's not he's busy enough that he can chat on his phone, but he can't really take the time to get in front of the camera and lock it down. So we'll get to a point with him where we could bring him on and ring his ears a little bit.
Yep.
And then Egg Snorter, I don't know about him though.
Well, we can talk about it more later, but I think that's all she wrote for the show. Hope
You wanna
everyone
end it?
has a great night, and hopefully we've got some great news for us coming up.
Look for the white smoke, Raider Nation. We'll see you guys later.
Cold open, counted out. Yeah, we heard the talk. Cold nights and long losses, still we walk. Scoreboard hurt, but the heart stayed real. Still wear the black, still flash the shield. From Oakland roots to Vegas dust, pain in the season, but we still trust. They say it's over, I say move on, but Raider pride don't ever gone. Show me your shield, hold it high, don't bend. Show me your shield, ride it out to the end. Win or lose, yeah, we still reveal Raider Nation. Show me your shield.